This is the absolute greatest part of beekeeping, at least to me. This is a fresh frame of capped honey that I just harvested this past weekend. I was doing an inspection of a few of my hives, and it's late July here in Georgia, and one of my hives was just still packed full of honey, so I just took one really nice frame, and I use foundationless frames, which I'll ramble on about why I like them in a bit, but just look at that. This is beautiful. If that doesn't excite you, I don't know what to say, because this is amazing, and a lot of people don't ever get to see what combed or honey in the comb actually looks like. They just, most of the time you just buy a jar from the grocery store and put some in your tea and that's it, but I think this is a lot more exciting. So I'm going to go over just some of the, or one of the projects that I'm going to do with this today, and you can all tell me what you think. So let me set this here so it doesn't fall. Here's a couple of ways I like to package honey. This is really great. This is a plastic jar that looks really nice, like the classic glass jars, but it sits on the cap. So all the honey is already at the bottom when you go to use it for your tea or cereal. And it's got a leak-proof lid, so there's like a rubber seal in there, so you squeeze it, and it's legit. No honey comes out in the cap once you're done. It seals it tight. I got these from, I think I ordered them from Brushy Mountain, and I like the looks of the black cap. And for people that you give this to as a gift that just like mainly to put it on tea or squeeze it on cereal, this is perfect. This is my other favorite. If you're going to use, this is a little darker honey that I harvested. If you're going to use this for cooking or something that you're going to use like maybe a third or a half or a full cup in bread or some other baked thing, this works really well because you don't have to sit there and squeeze forever. You can just fill it up in a measuring cup, and I think it looks really classic and rural, rustic to have it in the mason jar. And then the people that you give it to, of course, there's 1,000 uses, probably 1,000,000 for mason jars. What I'm going to do today is cut this honey out of the comb, and a lot of people will make cut comb. Maybe they'll put a chunk of it in the jar so that you can see a chunk of cut comb in there. But I started thinking about that. It looks really nice on the shelf, but in practical use, I guess you could pour out some honey and then dip out the comb with a knife and spread it on bread, but it probably looks better than it is practical. And then there's also the cut comb you see that's like a 4-inch square, but again, I don't know if maybe if you have a lot more cut comb than I do, you could give that much away to people and they could use it. But what I'm going to try today is to use this size that I found. It's a Ziploc extra small square, and I'm going to put a little bigger than maybe 1.5 inch square. I cut this out to give me a guide to cut my comb. Now I'm going to make like snack squares, just because I think if you give one of those away, people get that beekeeper special that a lot of people don't get. Like when I'm working the hives, I can grab a piece of comb and just like chew on it, and the honey, it's like candy. So I can package a small amount just for 1 or 2 or 3 people, just to get a spoonful of the wax and honey, and freeze it in these and then just give it away. So I'm going to give that a whirl and see how that works. I've got a sharp knife, and I'm going to dip that in hot water and just make squares, and I'll probably do that off camera, and then I'll show you the finished product. So I've got my comb cut out of the frame, and you can see now it's just an empty frame. There's no wires, and I don't use foundation. So this is going to drain on this pan, and I can set it outside. And the bees will go crazy over that honey and clean it all up, and then I can put it back in the hive, and they will hopefully fill it up with more honeycomb. And I don't know if you can see it, but I put like a paint stick in the groove, and that's the only starter that I've used. I've tried a few different methods, but the paint stick that's free from Home Depot works the best. The Lowe's ones don't work as well. That's a hint. So I just put a little glue on it and stick it in there, and the bees seem to like it. I had some extra trimming, so I just put those in a Pyrex container. I'm sure they'll go to good use. And I've got my hot water and knife and my squares laid out that I think will fit in these Ziploc containers. So I'm going to hopefully show you some of the process here. The hot knife works pretty well. So what I'm doing is just, you don't really have to apply any pressure, but my knife is hot. And they don't have to be perfect. You can buy perfect looking ones at the grocery store. So, just going to make my squares and then separate them a little so that they can drain. And I've got them on this cookie or drain sheet on top of a cookie sheet, so that the honey that's coming out of the combs that I'm breaking will just drain down in there, and I can collect that and put it to good use. And then they'll be the edges will be nice and dry and clean when I put them in the containers, and it'll just look a little nicer. But if you want to just grab them and put them in there, which I might actually do that, that's no big deal either. They don't. So I'm not entering these in a honey show yet. So I'm going to finish these and either wait till they drain or not and put them in here, and then they'll go in the freezer. Well, I quickly decided I didn't want to wait for all these to drain, and I finished cutting them all into the squares. It ended up being about, they're probably 1.5 inches. But you just have to get the container, and it doesn't have to be perfect. But I think this is going to turn out to be a hit. Now, from one medium frame, I got 16 squares really easily. So even if you have this is a medium-sized frame, so if you're going to try this, that's what I use. And I got the size squares that fits these 8 extra small square Ziplocs. So I think this is going to work really well. So because I didn't let them drain, some of the honey is going to fill up the bottom, but I really don't think anyone I give this to is going to complain about that. But look how nice that looks. So I'm just going to cap that. I mean, that is amazing. So 3 or 4 people or more could take a spoonful of that and just taste the honey and chew on the wax. It's just like gum. And oh, the reason, if you're wondering why I'm going to freeze these, is even though the bees are meticulously clean in their honey production, because it's pretty much their life during the winter whenever they need it, so they got to make sure it's perfect. There can be like I don't know, it's a wild product, so there's going to be like maybe spores or even like eggs from other insects that have invaded the hive. So what you do is you freeze it at least overnight, and that takes care of anything that might be in there that would possibly contaminate the eggs or the honey. But that's a very small risk, but we do it anyway, and it doesn't harm the product at all. Honey freezes and lasts and stores indefinitely. So I'm just going to finish putting all these in the containers, and actually I don't have enough, so I have to get 8 more to make a total of 16, and I've still got extra that I'm going to have to just eat. That's hard work, and I'm going to put the frame outside for the bees to clean up, and that's it. So let me know what you think. I think this is a great way to make a lot of cut comb samples out of a small amount for the small producer like I'm doing. And yeah, let me know what you think, and if you're really lucky, you might know me and get one of these. Nice one, honey. That's nice. That side's not completely capped, so I probably won't take it.